A very warm welcome to all the students. So students, today in our environmental studies part 2 subject, we will be learning the lesson number 14. The fort is captured but the lion is dead. Now my dear children, we know in the previous lesson that Shivaji signed the Treaty of the Purandar, and according to this treaty, 23 forts were handed over along with some gold coins to the Mughal emperor. So now this fort Kondana was one among these 23 forts, and it was a very strong fort. Now Shivaji and Jijamata were very worried about this. So now children, let us start with the lesson and see what happens in this lesson. Now let us see what was Jijamata's wish. So Jijamata's wish. Now as I told you that the 23 forts were handed over by Shivaji to the Mughals, and these forts were still in their hands, and Kondana was one of this, which was the strongest among them all. And so Jijamata was very upset. She thought that it was not safe to keep such a strong fort in the hands of the enemy. And so she advised Shivaji, saying, Shubha, it's not safe to leave the strong Kondana fort in enemy's hands, and you need to recapture it. Then Shivaji was also thinking on the same lines. That means he was thinking the same thing. He was also making plans how to recapture the Kondana fort. Now Shivaji started making plans. He started thinking, what shall we do? Whom shall we entrust with this task? That means, who can we give the leadership to take care of this campaign? So now children, let us see who was Tanaji Malusare. Tanaji Malusare was Shivaji's comrade. Who is a comrade? A comrade is a fellow soldier, the member of the army of Shivaji. Now, right from the beginning, he was with Shivaji, and he came from the village called Umrathe near Mahad in the Konkan. Now, this great man, Tanaji Malusare, was a person who used to put his heart and soul in any task, in any work given to him by Shivaji. Tanaji was a strong and well-built man. And not only that, he was clever as well as a brave person. He was passionately devoted to Shivaji. That means he would do anything for Shivaji. Now, let's move ahead. Kondanas marriage first. Now, what is the meaning of this Kondanas marriage first? How can you get Kondana married? It is the name of the fort. Isn't this question that came to your mind? Yes, exactly. Now, what is the meaning of that? Tanaji was busy making preparations for his son's wedding. The name of his son was Raiba, and he was very busy with this work. And one fine day, he thought, as he was preparing for his son's marriage, he said, let me go and give the personal invitation to Shivaji and Ma Sahib. Now, who is Ma Sahib? Ma Sahib is none other than Shivaji's mother, Jijamata. Now, the marriage was only 4 days away, and Tanaji went personally to invite Shivaji and Ma Sahib. He was also accompanied with Sheller Mama. Now, as he wanted to meet Shivaji to give the personal invitation, he went with Sheller Mama to invite Shivaji and Ma Sahib. Now, children, on receiving the invitation, Shivaji said to Shelar Mama, "You go back and celebrate the wedding." Now, why is Shivaji saying so? He said, "I am sorry. I will be unable to attend the marriage because I have to lead a campaign to recapture Kondana." Now, when Shivaji said this, that I won't be able to come for the wedding of Raiba because I have to undertake or lead a campaign to recapture Kondana. Tanaji was very upset on hearing this. He said, "How can you do this? This is a dangerous campaign. And why should you go there when I am alive?" So, I told you, Tanaji was not only brave and clever, but he was always ready to do anything for Shivaji. And so he said that I am going to go and perform the marriage of Kondana first by recapturing it. Raiba's wedding can wait. And so he decided that he is going to lead the campaign to recapture Kondana and then come back and get his son Raiba married. Now, children, let us see what was Tanaji's plan. With these words of Tanaji, everybody there was really happy. And so now Tanaji was in charge of this campaign to recapture Kondana. Now, the fort of Kondana was under the control of Uday Bhan, a Rajput, and he was an officer who was appointed by Jai Singh. Now, Uday Bhan was a disciplined person and he was very vigilant. That means he was very careful to see what is happening in and around among the fort. And Kondana fort had two entrances. So, both the entrances was heavily guarded by the enemy's army. That means there were many guards who would look after that nobody comes in. And then Tanaji was a very clever man. As I've told you all, that Tanaji was a very clever man. And so this very clever man looked at the whole area properly. He inspected every detail of the fort. Now he saw that on the western side there was a steep, the precipice. That means there was very steep rock and there were no guards because it was difficult to anybody to climb on such a steep rock and enter into the fort, and therefore there were no guards. Now Tanaji decided to attack from this side of the fort. So he explained his plan to his younger brother and he told his brother, "You take 500 men and you reach the Kalyan gate, and there were another 300 men. All will climb up the steep rock and I will get inside the fort. And as soon as we are there, we will open the doors of Kalyan gate. Then what will you do? You step in and join us and we will together destroy the Mughals." So this was the plan, and Suryaji, his brother, said, "Okay, we will follow this." And both Suryaji and Tanaji went two different ways. Now, children, what happened over the precipice and into the fort? It was a dark night. Now, Tanaji and his men, they were gathered at the fort of that steep rock, difficult rock to climb in. Since it was night, it was dark, and the sound of the crickets were heard all around. Now, 5 or 6 members of Tanaji's group, what did they do? They slowly started climbing up this rock. It was high and it was dangerous, but somehow these brave soldiers managed to climb up this rock. They pushed their fingers into rock crevice, Crevice means a small hole on the rock, and they began to climb up this difficult and dangerous rock. Slowly and surely, they reached the top, and as soon as they were on safe ground, they tied a thick rope to a strong tree, and they let the rope down for the other soldiers to climb up and entered into the fort. Now, let us see Tanaji's valor. Now, then, what happened after this? Suryaji, Tanaji's brother, he came to the Kalyan gate, and he was waiting there for the doors to open, and the battle on the fort started. Why? Because the gates were opened, and now Tanaji battled his soldiers from one side, and because of this sound, the noise, Udayban heard that there was an attack, and then the battle of both sides started. That means the battle of Tanaji's side and Udayban's side started. Now Udayban's soldiers, they attacked Tanaji's men, and a grim battle started. That is, the strong, fierce battle started between both the soldiers. And how were they fighting? In the dark, in the light of dancing torches. Then the Maulas opened the doors of Kalyan gate, and Tanaji was fighting like a brave lion. Udayban attacked him. Both were very brave, and the battle between them was fierce, was very strong. Now, Tanaji's shield was broken. Shield means, children, a piece of metal carried to protect the front part of the body. So it was broken. So Tanaji tied his upper garment round his defending hand. And he continued the fight with Udayban. And then in the end, both Tanaji and Udayban were brutally wounded, and they fell fighting on the ground. Now let us see the last point of this lesson, that is, the fort is captured but the lion is dead. Now children, with the death of Tanaji, the Maulas found themselves without a leader. They were scared that their leader is dead. Now, who will guide us? And so they started to run away. At that time, Suryaji, Tanaji's brother, arrived on the scene. That means he came to that place. There he was very, very sad that his brother had already died in the battlefield. He did not waste time grieving over the dead body of his brother. What did he do? He continued to fight, and he cut the rope through which the soldiers entered the fort through the very steep rock. Why? Because these Maulas were scared that their leader was no more, and they wanted to run away. But Suryaji, he said, "Can you be like cowards? Don't you all ashamed you are running away? Come on, turn back and fight, because I have cut the rope and you cannot go out. So you all see your father is lying dead. You all have seen your father is lying dead here over battlefield. Go, either jump out on this steep rock to death, otherwise fight back and destroy the enemy." Now, these words of Suryaji gave courage to the Maulas, who started fighting, and a strong battle raged. The Maulas ultimately conquered the Kondana fort. Now, the joy of capturing the fort, though, was there in their hearts, but the brave lion-hearted leader Tanaji was dead. When Jijamata and Shivaji heard of this news, they were struck with grief. Shivaji expressed his sorrow in a single sentence, that the fort is won, but the lion is dead. So Kondana became Sihagarh in memory of the great warrior, that is Tanaji. He was a light-hearted man and a brave man, and so Kondana took the name Sihagad. And even today it is remembered by everyone. The brave deeds of Tanaji took place in the year 1670. The recapture of Kondana. Later on, Shivaji personally went to Umrate, the village of Tanaji, and performed the wedding of Tanaji's son Raiba. So, children, I hope you all have understood this lesson very well. That's all for today. Thank you, children.